You guys, I apologize for the background noise. There appears to be some sort of machinery running back there, and I don't know if or even how I can stop it, so you're just gonna have to deal with it. Today's album, Melodrama by Lorde, was actually recommended to me by someone in my comments, and I thought, I've never listened to a Lorde album, but I've always been a little Lorde curious, like what she got going on over there. So I decided I might as well check it out. Guys, I have a confession to make. This isn't a real CD. I just printed this paper out and put it in this empty case. I don't got a lot of budget around here, alright? Sometimes I gotta make some amends. This album came out in 2017, and I feel like it had a lot of influence on the way pop music started sounding after that. I mean, I'm no expert on like the scene and how different sounds influence other sounds and stuff, but I feel like it's just something to take note of. Before I get into each specific song, I just want to say I like how minimalistic the album sounds a lot of the time. It really draws attention to each little production detail in each instrument. The songs are often very simple, but also catchy. I guess that's not really a but. Simple and catchy actually go hand in hand. Anyways, the album starts with Green Light, a song which I find very interesting because it feels kind of slow but also rushed at the same time, especially when that low kick comes in over the piano. I was really surprised by how much a lot of this album sounds like Olivia Rodrigo's music. I know this album came first. I'm saying it sounds like Olivia Rodrigo took inspiration from this. I don't usually like to play snippets because of copyright issues, but I mean, listen to this.
And all my friends are tired, but I hear sounds in my mind.
Sorry, my family seems to be like literally dragging furniture around upstairs. I don't know what's up with them. Lyrically, this song is pretty interesting because, like Driver's License, it's about a breakup. There's sort of more to it though. It's not just I'm sad because this person left me. Ugh. It feels almost upbeat because it's like, yeah, it's over, but I mean, at least I can move on. But you actually can't move on because you still have to wait for the green light. You just saw the light perpendicular turn red, so you know yours is about to turn green. You're getting ready to go. You're taking your foot off the brake and you're about to press the gas. That's how this song feels, I think. Now, the next song, Sober, is, it's kind of the opposite of sober. It's a little weird and drunk and draggy. Now, the song is pretty simple lyrically, but I think that's fine because it kind of sets up all the themes that this whole album deals with in a sort of simple and digestible way, where it's just talking about like, oh, we're partying, we're the king and queen of the weekend. I think that's what she says. But how much does this lifestyle really give you in the end, and is it worth it? I like the weird vocals at the beginning, like 9 midnight, lose my mind, 9 midnight, lose my mind, lose my mind. I like the sound of the songs with these like blown out explodey horns and the weird echoing reverby vocals, and the beat switch in the bridge is very welcome. Homemade Dynamite is cool. It's obviously a pop song, but it's a little bit dangerous sounding. Once again, we're continuing with the party lifestyle, but it's already starting to get a little bit old, which is of course one of the themes of the album. This song is one of the catchiest of them all with the stutter in the chorus, and there's not too much to say about this one. It fits with the album. It's a catchy pop song. Okay, the next song is The Louvre. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's my channel. I can do whatever I want, okay? Now, I like the imagery in this song. I think the lyrics are really good. It's sort of about the rush of falling in love. Not the most original thing anybody's ever written about, but it's effective every time. I like the sound of this song, the sort of wet, dripping harmonies. I don't like the way that came off, but that is how they sound, alright? But I'm a little skeptical of the part that's like, broadcast the boom, 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 and make them all dance to it. When everything gets really low passed and muffled. I think it's cool, but it goes on for a little bit too long. Overall, I think the song just drags a little bit, but I do still like it pretty well. Okay, she's pronouncing it as Louvre. I'm pretty sure that's not right, but I'm just gonna say it like that from now on. Anyways, I like how she says they'll put us in the Louvre in the back, but who cares, still the Louvre. Like, I imagine it as being the Louvre in this case is the museum of everybody that's in love. In her case, her and this guy, but whoever she's talking about, they get to go up into the Louvre, and even if they don't have the best relationship, okay, they got some problems, they still get to be in the museum, which is what really matters. And this song also reminds me of Royals, the only song by Lorde that I've heard that's not in this album, talking about, oh, we're never gonna be rich, we're never gonna be famous like these other people because we're not royals. And it's like, this is kind of the same thing where they get to be up in the Louvre and they're gonna be in the back, but they still made it to the Louvre, so it's kind of a victory in that sense. Liability is the slowest song of the album so far, and also the saddest. This song is weird to me because I can literally, like, okay, if you put an AI over the song of Olivia Rodrigo and made her sing it instead, and you told me it was like a unused demo from Guts or something, I would totally believe you. This sounds exactly down to every word like a song Olivia Rodrigo would write. Like the production, the melody, the lyrics, it's all exactly her. By the way, Guts is 100% the superior album. Sour should have been an EP. The last few songs are a filler. Anyways, back to Lorde. Basically, in this song, she's talking about how people fall in love with her and then they realize who she really is, they leave, which is pretty heartbreaking. And she says that they say she's a liability because she's too intense and too interesting for everyone else. Ugh, preach. Also, the line says he made the big mistake of dancing in my storm reminds me of a line from One of Us Cannot Be Wrong by Leonard Cohen, where he says, you stand there so nice in your blizzard of ice, please let me come into the storm. Sort of from the opposite perspective of this, because in that song he's talking about like, oh, there's this girl who's like super intense, super dangerous, but I want to get with her anyway, because that's how it be sometimes. But in this song, basically a guy did that for her and he regrets it, just like every guy regrets it. Every person she talks to is like, oh, you're just a liability, get out of here. And the way she just has to go back to herself, like like it says in the song, just dancing with herself in her room, is pretty sad, but also it feels a little bit egotistical. Maybe these people are leaving her for a reason. And now I'm not insulting Lorde, I'm just talking about the character character the song is written about, okay? So maybe these people are leaving her for a justified reason. We don't know the full story, alright? But nevertheless, I do understand this feeling that she's talking about, and it's definitely the saddest song so far, so this is a great one. It's gonna get a gold star from me. Okay, before we get on to the next song, I just thought of a few more things I want to say about the Louvre. So basically, when she says they'll put us in the Louvre, then maybe she's talking about, like, she's imagining the relationship is already past, and the Louvre is like all the memories of all the relationships that have happened in history. So like, because this is what the party lifestyle does to you, right? The second she starts getting with a guy or girl, I don't know, she starts thinking about, oh, this is how it's gonna be when it's over. We'll just go up in the museum with all the other dead relationships, which reminds me of another song, which is All the Rowboats by Regina Spektor, where she's like, all these art exhibits are trapped in these museums and they can't get out, and that's sort of like, you know, this museum of failed relationships that Lorde is gonna get into with this person. At least she thinks she is. And it's probably a self-fulfilling prophecy, because when you think that way, it's definitely gonna happen, because you're gonna lose passion really quickly and you're dooming yourself and it's over. Okay, let's just move on to the next song, which is Hard Feelings / Loveless. Ow. Guys, I don't know if you can see, but this table is literally like crumbling. I'm not exaggerating. It's literally, I could like break off a piece of it right now. It's so fragile, but you can't see because of this fancy red carpet I have. There's literally a whole chunk missing here that you can't see because of the camera angle, alright? I'm working off what I have here. Anyways, Hard Feelings and Loveless. These songs are so separate from each other. When I was just listening to this in the car, I thought these were two different songs. I didn't realize until later that it's actually just one song split into two sections, which is Hard Feelings and Loveless. So Hard Feelings is sort of about a breakup. It's pretty simple stuff, nothing too crazy. Sorry guys, there's water going through the pipes. I'm just gonna wait for that to pass. Anyways, the first part of the song, Hard Feelings, is a pretty simple breakup song. I like the echoing yells throughout the song. It's sort of like some of the songs on Folklore, which I talked about in my Folklore versus Evermore video. Go watch that right now. But the point is, in these songs, they're sort of like, you're almost over a person, but not quite. Like, you're like, okay, you can forget them most of the time, but sometimes you'll still like see a ghost of them in the corner or something. That's kind of what this song is like. But then it moves on to the second half of the song, which I think is much more interesting, Loveless, which is sort of, she's singing in like this sweet upbeat voice, but it's a little bit, the lyrics are very strange, okay? So she's talking about like, okay, you know, you're gonna leave me and stuff. I've just accepted this is how it is. Like I talked about before with the Louvre, but guess what? I like that, alright? This is just how we are as a generation. We're just loveless. We're just loveless. Maybe this is a mindset that's sort of been ingrained in here over a lot of failed relationships, or maybe it's just a temporary feeling like a sort of depression just because of this one guy or girl, once again, I don't know, who just left her. Now she's just temporarily feeling like, oh, you know, this generation's so loveless. Ugh. Either way, it's pretty valid. I understand how she feels here. But once again, because she feels this way, if someone else tries to get with her right now, she's definitely not going to treat them right, because this is the mindset she's in. And, you know, they probably weren't going to treat her right either, so she's just getting revenge preemptively. So it's just this cycle of no one really caring about each other and just partying and going through, you know, melodrama and stuff. Alright, next up is Sober Part 2, also known as Melodrama. Now this song really gets to the core of what I think the whole album is about, which it should because it's called Melodrama, which is the title of the album. Now I will admit I stole this from Genius.com, but basically I feel like Sober 1 is a party, and then Sober 2, which is this song, is how it feels after that party when the lights are on and you're kind of like cleaning everything up and it's sort of depressing and it's like, yeah, all that stuff happened, but now it's just kind of like, you know, ugh, whatever. And maybe you sort of regret some of the decisions you made last night. Now, one of the reasons why I think people like partying so much is when you party, you know, this hard, you essentially become somebody else, or maybe you become more like yourself. Basically, it's like you're becoming another person, so it's kind of a temporary escape where you don't have to think about all your more worldly problems. But, you know, the next day when the lights turn back on, that person is dead. So really, this is a funeral song. Now, the ending of this song is my favorite part because it gets sort of meta, where she's saying like, oh, they'll talk about the lovers, how we kissed and killed each other, and it's like sort of Shakespearean, like, oh, they're gonna talk about us in the future, how we did all this crazy stuff, went through all this melodrama, which, you know, once again, she says in the song, because it's the meaning of the whole thing and of the album, where it's like, they're all sort of like puppets who don't really care, but they're actors, you know. That's a quote from Shakespeare where he said something like the world is a stage and all the people only actors or something like that. That's kind of what this feels like, where they're all going through this stuff, and this is just the cycle that her and all these people around her, maybe the whole generation, right, the loveless generation is what we're all caught in, where we're just not even just partying, but like sort of these lifestyles, you know, where they go through all this stuff, we go through all this stuff, but we don't really care, and we sort of hate each other and love each other, and they're going to tell stories in the future of all this stuff that happened, but it's really just like melodrama. It's not that important. So really, the point is, these stories, you know, like the fiction stories that hypothetically will be written in the future about us are melodramatic because our lives are melodramatic, because that's just how life is, right? Life is melodramatic. Lorde is living in a fairy tale, which is to say she's living in real life. Okay, the next song is Writer in the Dark, which, you know, doesn't quite get as deep into all this stuff as the other songs that I was talking about, but it's still pretty good. The chorus, you know, I bet you'll rue the day you kissed a writer in the dark, I think is what it says. The minimal is just the piano and the vocals, and basically nothing else. Is interesting, but I feel like it does come off as a little bit corny, alright? You know, just talking about yourself as a writer and some sort of like dangerous individual, like, oh, the day you met a writer in the dark. I don't like the way it comes off, okay, but I still do like the song overall. I like how ascendant it feels near the end. And I do like the lyric, but in my darkest hour I stumbled on a secret power, I'll find a way to live without you, babe. That'll be the lyric highlight for this song, first one so far. What I take from this is she was sort of obsessive, but you know, now she has the power to. She hasn't moved on yet, but she has the tools to sort of craft herself into somebody in the future who will be able to move on, maybe in a few months or something. Once again, it's the same thing as Greenlight. She is not moved on on yet, but she's going to be able to move on because that's the power she discovered, right? Maybe it's not so hopeless after all. It's hopeless now, but it's literally like what the guy says in Getting Over, where he's like, you cannot now believe that you will ever feel better, but this is not true. You are sure to be happy again. Knowing this, truly believing it, will make you less miserable now. He said something along those lines. He might have been quoting from something else, but that's the way he says it in the game, alright? That's how I remember it. Supercut is really interesting because she's talking about, like, after you break up with someone, you sort of, like, your head just keeps getting, like, flashbanged with these memories of when you were together, and you're like, my dog's barking again. Anyways, you just sort of get flashbanged with these memories of when you were together, and it's like, you'll be riding the bus, and it's like, oh, I remember when you rode the bus. Oh, it was so perfect. What? You know, it's pretty brutal. Like we said, you move on eventually, but this is about, you know, before you moved on, it gets rough sometimes, alright? I understand this. And she's kind of telling the story like it's a love song. Like, oh, we were in your car, you know, I might maybe be someone you might love, something like that. And feel sort of happy for a moment, but then you're like, oh wait, no, it's just a supercut of us, right? You're just flashing through these clips, it's just a memory. And sometimes for a moment it even feels real, so the sort of deceptive storytelling is interesting. And maybe going even deeper, I think maybe in this song, she's not only just remembering when it was perfect, but she's imagining a reality in which she didn't make the mistakes that she made where they broke up. So she's like, oh, imagine if I didn't, you know, do this or say that and we could still be together and it would still be like it was then. And so she's sort of imagining like these branching realities. Now, whether she actually made any mistakes, that's not for me to say, alright? I don't know. The point is, even when you didn't make any mistakes before a breakup and it was entirely the other person's fault, of course you're still going to think like, oh, I must have done something wrong, you know, what could I have done differently? And you're going to be obsessing over it, which is not healthy for anybody, but it's pretty much impossible to avoid, so you just got to get through it. Yeah, the song is great. Anyways, the second to last song is Liability Reprise. It's similar to Liability, but somehow it feels much more hopeful. Like, yeah, I'm a liability, but you know, at least I'm alive, right? At least I live to see another day for now. Like, even if, you know, these people don't want to go out with me or whatever, I don't really need them. I can move on. I can do my own thing. The sun is rising, and it feels hopeful. It really does. So I don't have too much to say about the song, but I do like it a lot. Alright, the last song, Perfect Places, is probably the best song on the album because it's a banger, but it also has a really deep meaning. This sort of brings the whole theme back around to, you know, talking about the party lifestyle. Like I said before, you're searching for a better version, or maybe just a different version of yourself, or maybe even just a place. You're searching to go anywhere else besides where you are right now. You're looking for a place that's perfect. And do you ever find it? Do you ever even find this perfect place or this perfect version of yourself? I guess place could mean like a mental state, right? I'm just going to read off what I wrote in my notes here real quick because I wrote it at like 1 a.m. I feel like I kind of cooked. What are you searching for when you party? A perfect version of yourself or place to go to? Such a place does not exist. Is partying ultimately futile because you can never find the perfect place? Or is it deeply cleansing because, as cliche as it sounds, it's about the journey, the hunt, and not the destination? In the end, it's all party, all melodrama. There are no perfect places, but maybe they're still worth looking for sometimes. Well, I don't think I can put it any better than that. Good job, past me. This song also gets a gold star, and I'm happy to announce that I like this album enough to actually buy the CD, so it'll be coming in the mail. I can replace this piece of junk. And yeah, thank you to the person who suggested this to me. And once again, you know, any album you want me to listen to, anyone, just put it in the comments. I'll probably listen to it because I'm not getting that many comments. Let's be real. Yeah, you know, bye, I guess. Oh, also, if you have a better outro for me, please put it in the comments because I don't like just saying bye every time. It's really stupid and I hate it so much. Ugh.